Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. I'm excited to get started again. Today we'll be talking about mentors, which I think are vital. When we start businesses or a new job, especially in a larger company, we're often assigned mentors, people to guide us in our career. But small business owners or small businesses in general, and those of us who work in a small business, we don't often get mentors, but there are a lot of them out there. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, I do want to just give a tip for those of you showing up early and on time as a way to say thank you. I really appreciate you doing that. And so my tip for you today is go into my post. I did a post, I think, this morning, and I actually did one over the weekend. But this morning, I have over 21,000 followers. And so I did this post where I was saying, hey, if you'd like to connect with 100 other people, just come in and engage. And most of my connections are in the federal market, right? I've been in the federal market 20 plus years. I tend to be pretty good at weeding out requests for connections that have nothing to do with the federal market, mostly because I can't help the person and really they can't help me. So I don't need that kind of connection. They can follow me. But so what I would recommend to you to do is to go look at my post after you're done with this. And if you're not already following my profile, hitting that bell on my profile, that'll notify you when I put new posts out. But all sorts of people come in and they begin to engage the post, and you can just reach out to a whole bunch of new people who said, hey, I'm open to connections. You're going to hear us talk about that today, right? In the chat, you're going to say, I'm open to connections. It's a great way to get relationships started. It instantly turns a new relationship from cold to warm when somebody is saying, I'm open to connections. So go to my profile, look at my activity or my recent posts. You will see the one from today, July 24th. And that one is talking about how people are open to connections. Okay, let me, and that's just a quick thank you for those showing up early and on time. I really appreciate that. Tag a friend in the comment, tell them all to come in here. Even if they're late, we'll celebrate the fact that they show up. Okay, let me share my screen and we're going to get off to the races. Okay, today we're going to talk about 12 must-have mentors in the government contracting space in the federal market. Originally, when I did this post, for those of you who were tracking on that, I had said the 7 mentors you must have. But when I was doing the preparation, I'm like, well, here's 12. And so let me just tell you about the 12. When I started my own business, I was really lucky, and I was actually making some mistakes. So really lucky was I came out of the Army. I don't know if you know this, but back in the 90s, I joined the Army. My twin brother and I did. And so I started off in the Rangers, but I ended up in the Pentagon working for the Secretary of the Army. And so my mentors, as I was getting out of the Army, out of the government, and starting my own career in the government contracting space, my mentors were 3- and 4-star generals. So I had a huge advantage learning curve, if you will, of being mentored by these people who were saying, hey, you got to go here, you got to do this. I'm like, okay. And I just shut up and did what they said. But on the flip side, I made big mistakes in mentorship as I spent the next 20 years in government contracting space. The mentors I'm going to talk to you about, most of them I didn't really track on at all. And some of them I was dismissive, wrongly so. Right? I know what I'm doing. Let me move forward. I'm like, the heck am I doing? I was discounting mentors who were willing to help me and not pulling me in or not pulling them in. Fortunately, towards the end of my career as a small business owner, I really got good at reaching out to mentors. It was funny. Once I became successful, I was more willing to be open to mentors who helped me kind of move forward more. And it would have been better if I was getting mentored when I actually wasn't, didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I put here, feel like you're stuck down in a hole, because one of my favorite stories is this story of, one day I'm walking along and I fall down in this hole. And the hole's too deep to climb out. I'm trying to climb up and out. And I'm getting nervous. I can't get out. I don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, I can see up out of the hole, a priest walks by, and I'm yelling up, hey, Father, I'm down here in the hole. Can you help me out? And the priest looks down and he sits there and writes me a prayer for a speedy recovery and strength in heart, and throws the prayer down. And he walks away, just goes about his day. I'm like, okay, thanks. And I'm still kind of freaking out. I'm trying to figure out ways to get out, but I can't get out of this hole. And just then a YouTube influencer walks by and I'm like, hey, Sally, I'm stuck down here in the hole. Can you help me get out of here? And she looks down and says, absolutely. And she turns around, faces the other way, puts her camera up in a little selfie mode, shines down at me and says, and starts live streaming. Hey, everybody, Neil's down here in the hole. Put ideas in the comments about how he can get out. okay, check you out tomorrow. And she walks away. I'm like, wait a minute. What did they say? Did any of them have good ideas? And then, I'm still stuck down there, and a doctor comes along, and this is a person I've trusted with my health for a long time. I figured they would be caring about my health, and I see them up there, and I'm like, hey, Bob, Dr. Bob, I'm down here in this hole. Can you help me get out? So, absolutely. And so he writes a prescription and throws it down, walks away. And when I look at the prescription, it's a prescription to sit there, and it's a pain medication to take care of my hands because he noticed they were suffering from me trying to claw out. I'm like, what the heck? Finally, after freaking out for a couple hours, my mentor walks by, and she sees me, and I look up and I say, Martha, I'm stuck down here in the hole. Can you help me out? She goes, absolutely. And she jumps down in the hole with me. I'm like, what are you doing jumping down here in the hole with me? Now we're both stuck down here in the hole. And my mentor looks at me and says, yeah, but I've been down here before and I know the way out. Follow me. And that's why I'm sitting there trying to tell you today, I want you to sit there and connect with these must-have mentors because they've been down in the hole that we might be down in, and they know the way out. And the hole isn't always bad. Sometimes the hole is, I'm at 10 million. I want to go to 20 million. All right. That meant some mentor, the right mentor can help you in that direction. Today, we're going to be talking about what are the mentors in the federal market, or just really what do I mean when I say mentor, right? And then why are mentors important to your success? I described it a little bit, but I want to give you some other ideas on why mentors are important and hopefully encourage you to say, whoa, I'm going to run out and make sure I build those mentor relationships. I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to start and build mentor relationships. I've done multiple trainings on how to start and build relationships in general, and you can find them in our past training. But today I want to give you a couple of tips that relate specifically to the mentors I'm going to talk about. And that's what we'll wrap up with is the bullet number 4 here. Who are the 12 must-have mentors? So that's what we're going to be driving down into. No pun intended for the whole. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years, as you heard, in the federal market as a small business owner. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. Process goes from A to Z. When we follow the process steps, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for you is repeatable, predictable success for your company. Do me a favor, help the buyers and others in our community remember who you are. In the chat, if you haven't done it already, put your company name and put two or three words, keywords that describe your core competency. Make it pretty easy for us to begin to remember you. Oh, they're the elevator person. They're the SharePoint person. They're the workforce development person, right? All these different things. Help us remember by just putting a few words that make it easy. Once we call you, then you can tell us a whole bunch of other words. And again, like my tip, when we get started, let others know that you're open to connecting on LinkedIn. It's going to be a good day. I have my water with me. Okay, let's talk about what are mentors in the government space, right? The first and most important thing I think you just need to remember is that they're a free support network. They don't cost any money, and they're there to help you out, right? They're committed to your success. One of the things I think a lot of people miss out on is many of these people who are mentors, especially the ones that are in nonprofit type organizations. These people have made a career out of taking a lower paying job that is designed, or the primary mission is to help you succeed, right? And so this free support network is there. They also have experience in the federal market, right? In our space. They have it in IT, or if you're in construction, you can find mentors and they have experience in construction. I had somebody reach out to me on our page for Ask Me Anything, and they were asking about product sales. I don't actually know anything about product sales. I mean, I know software sales. That's different than I think these guys are talking about bolts and nuts and everything, right? But what I can do and what I'm good at doing is putting them in touch with somebody else. So sometimes a mentor can do that as well. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But they're the mentors that you're going to bring into your company or into your world. They're going to be experienced with GovCon space. And I describe them as an informal board of advisors. So think about a big company has a board of directors. Often we small businesses have a board of advisors. And, usually that's like 1 or 2 people who are senior people who agree to kind of serve on a board of advisor for our company. But you can create a big board of advisors, 12 people, right? Or at least 5 or 10 that are these informal board of advisor type people. And frankly, as you move forward, they can become your formal board of advisor, still free, right? They're committed to your success. You're not going to take a lot of their time, but they'll guide you forward. You know that these people are good mentors when you have meetings with them and you recognize that they're approachable and patient. That's a measure of a good mentor. They're there to listen. They've got a lot more ear than mouth, and they listen. They listen to what you're going on, what you're talking about. They don't just do. They just don't tell you what to do, like prescribe without diagnosing, right? You don't want to go to a doctor and have them tell you what medicine you should take without hearing your problem. And so good mentor does that. They also agree to meet on a regular basis. You don't want to take up a ton of their time, but just coming back once a month, that would be great. And one of the last things I really want you to pay attention to is I talk about what mentors are, et cetera, but I really want you to pay attention to what Anna Ehrman says. She used to run the Virginia PTAC, then she was at the State Department. Now I think she's at the VA, but she is a federal market small business professional who knows her stuff. And her biggest piece of advice when I interviewed her one day was at the very end, what piece of advice would you give folks about PTACs in general? And she's like, do what we say. Like if we give you advice, follow the advice. And too often sometimes we take advice and think, I know better. It's like, well, okay. Okay, why are mentors important? Let's really just cover down on this for a second. I want to make sure I save enough time to talk about the 12 different mentors. But one of the biggest things, I just described that story about being down in a hole. One of the most important things about a mentor to your success is you don't have to do this journey of building a small business or working in a small business and trying to grow your company. You don't have to do it alone. It's one of the most challenging things for entrepreneurs, for small business owners, is we are alone and we feel kind of alone. And that's why you want to go out and find teammates and network with other people, but also having mentors. You can talk to them about some of your challenges. They're going to answer your questions, right? You're going to come in with whatever question you have. We're trying to go this direction. I mentor a lot of people informally, right? I have a lot of customers, but I mentor a lot of people informally. And I had somebody come to me and ask me about CPARs. They were getting bad CPARs. In a very quick conversation, I was able to give them some guidance based on my experience and knowledge and say, hey, consider going back to the KO, the contract officer, and say this. Say it politely, ask them to consider it. And long story short, it turned out all right for them because they were able to reach out to a mentor who can answer their questions. Unless you've been there, it's kind of hard to know everything. I don't know everything. That's why you want at least 12 mentors. They'll provide direct feedback. I like to say personally that I like to provide brutal honesty, right? I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to help you build your business. I'm not here to tell you it's you're going to get rich overnight and you're going to make billions of dollars with no effort. I'm here to tell you that there's a process. You follow the process, you'll have success. And my brutal honesty is stop saying that you're doing something correctly if you're not. A good mentor will give that to you with love, right? I mean, we don't sit there and say that to be mean. We say that to be direct so you get the message right away. That's what you want from a mentor. They'll give you fresh perspective on your business. I was watching, I have no idea who this was because it didn't stick in my memory a few minutes ago, but I was reading something about this person who is doing a shift in their business and they're doing a pivot. And that's a great time for a mentor to come in. Say you were selling, like, I don't know if you know this, but before I started the GovCon chamber, I sold my last company and I was starting a fifth one. And that fifth one, basically it was a Microsoft play. And literally 2-3 months after I started it, got it all up and running, the product we were going to sell, Microsoft decided to give it away for free. Like, come on, you're killing me. Fortunately, the timing was good because I was pivoting my whole career and what I wanted to the GovCon chamber. But mentors will give you that fresh perspective on your business and how you can pursue. They'll give you the lessons learned, like I talked about. You want to make your own mistakes, new mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes I made, right? For example, don't ignore mentors. So I'm hoping you go in there. When you talk to mentors, there's all sorts of lessons learned they can give you. They can give you lessons learned about capture and business development, about proposal writing, about billing, about financing, about legal, about teaming, about JVing, right? They can give you all sorts of lessons. And we call this an acceleration of the process, right? When you pay me $1,000 an hour, you're not paying me for 1 hour. You're paying me for 30 years of experience shoved into 1 hour, right? Because I have all that experience, I can do in 1 hour what somebody else will take a long, long time to do. And so, when you look to mentors, this is especially important with these free ones, you're getting that same experience sometimes and you get those lessons. I love the fact that I can turn to my mentors as sounding boards. I don't need the answer. I don't need the solution from them. I need to be able to have the conversation. And usually the conversation is similar to how you would have it with a therapist. They go, well, what do you think about that? Why does that make you feel that way? Why do you want to pursue this agency? Why are you going after that opportunity? They're not answering any of the questions. PTACs are really good at this, right? They're not there to answer your questions, but they can talk to you about procurement. Yes, I know they're called Apex Accelerators. I just like Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So I'll be one of those long tails. It'll take me forever to switch. Making introductions is another great thing about mentors, and they help you hear about opportunities. So they can introduce you to other folks, but PTACs, SBDCs, all these folks, the SBA, people I'm going to talk about in a minute, they all hear about opportunities. If you can make sure that they know who you are and they almost see you as a mentee who does what they, who follows their advice, then when they hear about opportunities, they're going to say, hey, you know what? You should go talk to ABC company because, they're pretty squared away. So I just want to give you a couple of tips on how to start and build mentor relationships. By the way, if this is your first time in training with me, I talk at a fire hose pace, but you can come back, watch this on replay. The replays are available immediately. It's on audio, it's on podcasts, it's everywhere, right? But I like going fast so I can get a lot of information in a short amount of time. But if you have any questions, just reach out to me and talk to me later. All right, so how to start and build these relationships with mentors. And these are just some steps, but basically, you want to reach out to them and schedule an introduction meeting. So let's use the Women Business Center. That's going to be one of the mentors I talk about. The Women Business Center, obviously it specializes on supporting women business owners, but they're open to supporting all small businesses because they're funded by the SBA or partially funded by the SBA. And so they have to be open to all businesses. You can reach in and schedule an introduction meeting, right? One of the last bullets I have here is go to events they host or attend. I actually might put that at the very first one because it's a way for you to get a little visibility. Then you can say, hey, can I follow back up and have an introduction call, a meeting? I was at your event. Lee Christensen down in Huntsville, she does a ton of this with Catalyst Center. She does events every single week. And so if you attend one of her events, she begins to get to know you. And then you can reach out and have an introduction meeting with her. And she leads to somebody else, right? Get an initial piece of advice. This goes back to Anna Ehrman's tip about do what they say. I love sitting there just listening as a mentee for a while, for like a couple of weeks, couple of months. I don't want to drive in and close the deal by getting, right? I want to find out, what do you think of my business? What do you think I should be thinking or doing? So I want to get that initial piece of advice so I can do it and demonstrate to them that I'm committed to listening to my mentor. Ask them for a follow-up meeting. So when you're in the first meeting that you have, ask for a follow-up meeting, right? And then when you have that second meeting, you want to ask them hey, can I call you on a regular basis, right? Would you mind if I reached out once a month, beginning of the month every time, just to touch base and maybe get 15 minutes of your time? Some of these organizations, they budgeted time to meet with you, right? They're fully funded. That's why they're free, right? They're fully funded by the Department of Defense, the Small Business Administration, local and state governments, and academic institutions. And so you want to reach back and get on their calendar. So ask them if you can have a regular meeting, or I said ad hoc here, but never let it go more than a month, right? You want to find that sweet spot in there for you and the mentor, but never more than a month. Otherwise, you begin to forget each other. And then I already mentioned do what they advise. So just a quick, I just want to quickly show our website. For those of you who are not familiar, we've got the Small Business Directory. So this is a directory of over 1,000 names, numbers, and emails. It's free. You can go to our website, www.govconchamber.com, and you can download it. There's a button right there. You can see it, download Small Business Directory. Go get that. We try to speed up the process. Remember I said, when you buy an hour of my time, you're really getting 30 years of experience. Well, when you download this, you're getting years of collective energy building this directory. It has federal agency small business specialists, professionals, and it has over 100 large prime contractors, the SBLOs, the small business liaison officers. These are people who can help you move forward. So make sure you download that if you haven't. We just updated it for July. And then if you have questions, feel free to ask me anything. Put it on there. My team and I watch that. We just want to be available 24/7. If you've got a question and it takes us 2 seconds to answer, we'd like to do it. I don't have the time to jump on calls with a lot of people, but I'm happy to sit there and quickly shoot off an email. And more often than not, the question you ask, we can eventually turn into some training. So go visit our website. Okay, so let's talk about the 12 must-have mentors. And I'm going to walk through each one of these as we go forward. And not because I'm the most important, that I'm number one, because I could have put myself at number 12, but number one in your heart. But I put myself in the GovCon chamber in number one slot because you're here watching my training. So as long as you're here watching my training, you might as well recognize that I am a mentor of yours. The GovCon chamber is a mentor of yours. A lot of our mentoring happens through these daily trainings we do every single day at noontime. We put out a lot of content. We put out directories like that directory I just mentioned. We also have the long range acquisition forecast, the supplier forecast. These are ebooks that you can download with links to the agency information. And so we put this out. That makes us a really good mentor for you. And then also on the GovCon chamber, like I mentioned, the Ask Me Anything button. That's a great way to get a question asked and answered. We've had people talk about it takes them too long to get an answer through other mentors. Well, just make sure you spread it out. By the way, I'm going to try to convince the government to put in place a 24/7 AMA. So if you know any government person interested, I've got the whole strategy in place and they can just execute. All right, so the next order I'm doing, I literally am trying to do this in the order of who I would recommend you have a mentorship relationship with as you go along building your business. For example, the Small Business Development Center as an organization, I'm never ever talking about individual people in any of these roles, but the Small Business Development Centers really don't know much about federal government contracting, right? There's some people who know a lot of stuff. That's different. But the whole purpose of the Small Business Development Center is to mentor basically 30 million small businesses out there across all sorts of businesses, state, local, federal, commercial, nonprofit. And so their knowledge and expertise is a lot more around the fundamentals of getting your business up and running. Certifications, what should I sell? How do I build a marketing plan or a business plan? Things like that. They're a business. They call themselves a business development center, but business development to us in the federal space means sales. To me, here, what this means is a business development means they're helping you get started with your business that first 3 to 6 months, if you will. And again, I'm not trying to have a debate with the SBDCs, but see how these layer on top. These guys will help you decide, should I be an entrepreneur or start a small business? What should I sell? Who should I sell it to? They'll be really good at answering a lot of those questions. That's their strength. As you move forward, and by the way, I'm sorry I don't have these numbers, but there's just a ton of them. I think the Small Business Development Centers, there's hundreds of them. And as you move forward, there's like 30 or 40 veteran business centers, 50 or 90 women business centers. I think somebody on my team can run really quick to our blog where I list it all out. But the Women's Business Center, so these folks, all these early folks or mentors that I'm mentioning, they're all providing training and guidance on how to get started as a business. Right. This is why some people sometimes say, hey, don't go out and pay people to do certain stuff. Come to us. I disagree with that. I think you should go pay people if they're going to accelerate the process for you, if they've got a way of training that you want. But keep in mind, you don't have to pay people like me or anybody else when you can go to these organizations. And so the Women Business Center is designed around supporting the unique needs of women business owners. Right. There's 50% of the country is women, 50% of the businesses, rough numbers, right, are women. And so they tend to bring together events that are focused more on the concerns women business owners have in starting up. Like I said, though, anybody can go in there and request help. Often you'll see a women's business center and a small business development centers in the same facility, run sometimes by the same people. So go follow them up. And then Better Business Opportunity Center, going with that same theme with women business owners. This is an organization funded primarily by the SBA. It's the Veteran Business Center is designed to support the unique needs of veteran business owners, right? Again, anybody can go in there and talk to these folks, and I would highly recommend you do that, right? I would not avoid any one of these mentor groups that I mentioned just because it says something that you think you already know. Go in there, see if you can build a relationship within the Women Business Center, because the Women Business Center, the Veteran Business Opportunity Center, these people who are in there, counselors and running it, they have relationships with the agencies you're trying to sell to. They have relationships with large primes who want to work with women business owners, veteran business owners, small business owners, right? And so that's part of the value in there. It's what I mentioned above about why reach out to these mentors. They make introductions. The Veteran Business Opportunity Centers, they also run a couple of other special programs. Check them out. Primarily, the reason I'm saying it is because they have counselors you can connect with and begin to have meetings with on a regular basis every month or so, where you turn them into your informal board of advisor or mentor. All right, so number 5, we start really getting into the government space. When you're looking at 2, 3, and 4, those are general mentors for all businesses, and so we all should have them, and we should never stop having them. That was the mistake I made as a business owner in the government space. I had a lot of success, and I thought, well, what do I need to go to the SBDCs for? And I was just oblivious to 2 main things. One is they have people who are just experienced, people like me who sell their business and go in and just volunteer, or other people who work there and have been trained. But these people are experienced to have insight, but they also know people. I could have grown my business bigger if I had built good relationships with these organizations. But when you get to number 5, the PTACs, which are now called Apex Accelerators, PTAC stands for Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And the reason this is awesome, they help across the board in government. So state, local. I only care about federal. It's the only world I play in. I think if you're in federal, you should be out of everything else. But they have a lot more training. So these counselors tend to be far more versed on the unique needs of a business in a small business within the federal market. There's 90 or so PTACs, one in every state. Multiple states have multiple. And so you can reach out to these folks. These folks want to have meetings. They call you clients. They're going to meet with you and help you grow. They'll talk to you about opportunities and be able to look at opportunities. They'll be able to help. I was talking with James out in Washington, I think James is, and he was saying he worked his PTAC, and he has basically a bid alert. So he sees opportunities coming from the federal agencies that are in his space. His PTAC helps him do that. The PTAC will help you look at those opportunities to kind of see if there's a fit with your company, right? They're not going to do your job, but they're going to mentor you. The PTAC counselors, they'll also sit there and talk to you about opportunities. They'll talk to you about a proposal. If you write proposals the way I suggest, which is months in advance, then they'll talk to you about an RFP or a draft PWS and the alignment to your business and give you some guidance to go away and do. They'll even look at your proposal, the draft proposal, and give you a couple of pointers on it. Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Again, they're not going to do everything for you. But where else could you find somebody like that who's going to basically do it for free, right? Your tax dollars pay for it, but they're doing it for free. As you come down, number 6, other small businesses. Make sure you have a relationship with other small businesses that are, I like to say, 5 years ahead of you. Make sure they're 5 years ahead. They made 5 years of mistakes. They had 5 years of things going right. Hopefully they've got $5 million in revenue. There's these things. And so these folks will tell you, give you mentoring guidance way differently than the first 4 here, the SBDC, WBC, VBOC, and PTACs, right? And then 7, 8, 9 are all with the Small Business Administration. I want you to go look at these folks, but the district office is local to where you're at, and they have multiple people working in there. So you want to reach in there, reach out to the district director, or they have monthly events, join their events and figure out, how can I work with you as a small business? How can I get some guidance and mentorship, right? They will give you guidance. Business opportunity specialists are people who are dedicated to supporting, in particular, the 8A small businesses. So they guide you through that, but they also will talk to other small businesses. These folks have a very tight relationship with agencies because 8A contracts, right? They come through that business opportunity specialist. Get to know them. PCRs, I did a whole training recently on them, but the procurement center representatives have oversight on large businesses. And I'm doing a whole post on PCRs again, so you can watch this coming up. But I've done a lot of interviews with PCRs on our website. Just go to our blog and type in PCR, and you'll see a bunch of interviews come up where the people in these roles talk about what they do and how they interact with small businesses. But they talk to federal agency buyers all the time. So you want to be in there, at the very least, getting tips on how you can be more procurement ready, strengthen your company, and potentially getting introductions, right? Small business specialists at the agency, I talked about that earlier. I'm going to go by the 2 other that I want to wrap up with, and my time's short, is make sure you look to your bank. One of the best mentors I had was our bank, and they were a local SBA type bank where they did a lot of SBA loans. but they were able to not only guide us through getting more and more and more money to be able to do more and more things, but they introduced us to so many other people in the government contracting space who were ahead of us. And we were able to build on that relationship. So build a relationship with somebody in the financial side. And then number 12 is the large businesses, their business development and capture folks. When you're ready, you build a relationship with them and you go forward. So I know I'm speeding through. Here's what I want you to remember. There are a lot of people out there who want you to succeed. All those people I mentioned, and I went really fast, they all want you to succeed. All you have to do is ask for their help. And so what I want you to do is one main task is just add this daily training to your calendar. Then you've done number one. Now move to the second, the SBDCs, and then you can begin to reach out to them. Join me again tomorrow for the GovCon marketing assets you should have. There's top 6 ones. And for everybody, remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.